Hey, St. Catherine, third grade. This is Mrs. Klinsick. I'm the assistant principal at St. Catherine, and I have your third grade teachers here. We're going to go through a little bit of information to get you ready for third grade in the 2020-21 school year.
I am Mrs. Chosick, and I can't wait to see all of you next week.
I'm Mrs. Mars, ready for next Tuesday.
I am going to share a PowerPoint, so I'm going to open that up and help you, and then we'll talk through some of the things to pay attention to as you get through third grade. So in third grade this school year, you just met Mrs. Mars. She is your reading, English, and social studies teacher. Here's her email address. And Mrs. Chosick is going to be your math and science teacher. Both of them will teach religion and handwriting in their own classrooms. And you can find out more information on their web pages about how to contact them. We have all of our regular contact information on this slide with our phone number, and Mrs. Mars and Mrs. Chosick are both really great at replying to your emails within 24 hours. They're going to be very busy during the school day, so parents, please give them a little bit of time to respond to you before making a phone call, or if you have a really urgent need, then you can call the school office and we'll get you an answer even faster. Third grade is different. That's why we're making this video for you all. Third grade is a big shift for students because they are going to grow academically and they're going to have some changes in social and emotional transitions. As students go from second grade to third grade, they're going to learn how to function a little bit more independently. We ask them to manage things a little bit more on their own as students and with you as parents to give them that opportunity to grow in independence. Hopefully they have all mastered a lot of their reading concepts. They're going to continue working on that, but now they're going to start reading independently to learn more informational systems. So we call that learning. They have been previously learning to read, and now they're reading to learn more in science and social studies. And there's a lot of math and reading in math and reading in their reading classes as well. They're also going to change from a standards-based grading system where students just get a meet standard or approaching standards on their grade cards. This year, they're going to get traditional grading system where they'll get A's, B's, and C's. This is also the first year for state and diocesan assessments. So those are all going to happen in the spring, and students will be taking those assessments with their teachers after they are thoroughly prepared. The social and emotional transitions this year are also a big shift for a lot of kids. They're going to have different kinds of relationships with their friends, and as they get older, it becomes even more important. Their confidence and independence should increase as well, and we all are going to work together to make sure that that happens. And the roles of parents and other adults will shift, whereas we've been in the past, a lot of times parents and other adults in kindergarten through second grade at school are working to help students keep track of everything, and a lot of things are given to students, and students are monitored a lot more. Now we're going to shift to more of a support system and let students take a lot more opportunity for their own independence in school and other areas of their lives. Your teachers will email newsletters to you weekly. They will also have calendars and their newsletters posted on their webpage. The webpage password is on this slide, Saints are number 1. You can always check those calendars to see what is going to be happening in Mrs. Mars's class and Mrs. Chosick's class to help keep track of deadlines. Their PowerSchool grades will be updated weekly as well, so that's a little bit of a shift. If you have not been used to checking PowerSchool for assignments and grades in the past, this year is going to be a really great tool for you to help keep on top of your students' assignments and when their upcoming projects due, to use those web pages and PowerSchool to make sure that you're helping your student keep track of all of their work, tests, quizzes, and assessments. These teachers are also really great at using student agendas. The student agendas are going to continue to come home every day, and your student will be asked to keep track of what their assignments are. And it'll be a great tool for you to see what they finished during school and what they finished or what they still need to finish at home. If there are any assignments that they didn't get done during school, then those are sent home for them to complete, and that will be indicated in their agenda. Mrs. Mars and Mrs. Chosick will also let you know if there are any concerns with behavior or other aspects of the school day through the agenda. We ask you parents to initial that agenda at the end of each day before the students come back to school the next day, and that you may have to help your students remember to do this at first, but we really are trying to increase our students' responsibility. So eventually we're hoping that students will remember to have you sign their agenda, that they will take that lead and that responsibility seriously. They have some great organizational tools, and Mrs. Chosick is going to explain that.
Okay, the pictures that you see on this slide are of what we call our round trip folder. You should see this coming home with your child every single night along with their agenda. The agenda and this folder are your child's two main organizational tools. The picture on the right shows the front cover. Students in my homeroom have that type of a design. Students in Mrs. Mars's homeroom, their folder is green on the front, looks a little bit different, but you can tell very easily by looking at the bottom of that cover whose class it belongs to. The picture on the left shows the two front pockets inside the folder. This folder actually has 10 pockets. The only pockets that you should really need to worry about as parents are these front two pockets. The pocket on the left is called the mission pocket. That should have any assignments that the student needs to complete to turn in to school the next day. There are some examples of things that you might find in that pocket listed on the sticker right underneath where it says mission. The right-hand pocket says mission accomplished. When a student finishes an assignment and they are ready to turn that assignment in, they put it in that pocket. That way, when they come to school the next day, all they should have to do is reach into that pocket, pull those papers out, and they are all ready for Mrs. Mars or myself to collect. The pockets after these are mainly used for papers that we are going to be using throughout the course of the week, or sometimes even longer. So they really just need to stay in the folder until Mrs. Mars and I have the students remove them from the folder. As this says, practice, practice, and practice some more, because keeping the kids organized really helps to reduce the amount of work that they are missing or that they are turning in late. Because we know that students are growing in independence and a lot of these things that we're expecting are going to be new for them, our late work policy kind of develops as the year progresses. As they are just getting used to third grade and how things work, we're definitely way more lenient and offer lots more reminders. But as the year progresses, we will expect things to be prompt more and more frequently. Let's see, I think that's about it for that folder. Your child should also be bringing home, within the first couple of days of school, a folder that looks just like this. It's called the third grade resource folder. It is blue for both classes, and the inside has a lot of resources for you to use with your child at home. Once this folder comes home, you need to keep it there and find a really safe place so that whenever you have questions, you can turn to this folder for assistance. And obviously, anytime you have questions still, please contact Mrs. Mars or myself. We are so happy to help clear those things up for you. The left-hand pocket of this folder has just a third grade handbook. It gives you information and answers to so many of the most commonly asked questions for third grade. Everything from what the grading scale is, to what our class schedule is, to rewards, consequences, just about anything you can think of. The middle part of this folder has all kinds of math help for important concepts that we will study throughout the course of the year. These pages in the center for math, they're helpful whether your child is in the classroom full-time or if at some point in time your child might need to learn remotely. This folder can be a lifesaver. So please, please, please keep it safe, know where it is, and use it. It will help your child immensely. Okay, for religion, there are a number of prayers that our students need to know this year as third graders. The first one that we usually start with is the Apostles' Creed, because that is the beginning prayer in the Rosary. We also, as third graders, the students need to know the order of the prayers within the Rosary. So we start with the Apostles' Creed, since that's where the Rosary starts as well. Since the Rosary ends with Hail Holy Queen, that's another prayer that the students are responsible for this year. So we typically focus on the Apostles' Creed during the first quarter and the Hail Holy Queen during the second quarter. And we work on the Rosary all year long. So that's something you should be expecting your child to be working on, and you can work on with them at home as much as possible. In the spring, students typically do a research project where they choose a saint and do all kinds of different things to learn more about that saint. We call it the Tour of Heaven. That is a combined activity with religion and English language arts. So watch for more information on that in the spring. For math, the Ready Math curriculum was new last year. It involves a lot of conversation among students on how they solve problems. The focus is not so much on everybody getting the answer in the same way, but the fact that you can solve a problem in many different ways. And so we look at a lot of different ways that problems can be solved, and students communicate that with one another every day, multiple times throughout their math lesson. We also do what's called Math for Today. That is a type of spiral review. It also sometimes will introduce some things that students may not have seen previously. Usually it's about 4 questions a day. We do those all at school. They're do them in the morning, and then in math class, we actually use those for number talks and for students to get used to talking about different ways to solve those problems. There's everything from basic place value to addition, subtraction. There's geometry. We get into a lot with multiplication and even some division as the year progresses. We do not have a lot of time in class to work just on basic fact memorization. So that is something that is really helpful for you to work on at home. Anytime your child has some extra time, what's that, right? It's great for in the car. It's great for in between those practices. If one sibling has a practice that they're at and the other sibling, I'm bored, Mom, what can I do? Let's practice your math facts. By the end of the year, students really need to have a firm grasp of their multiplication facts particularly. I stress to them all year long. I used to teach 4th grade, and 4th grade math takes forever if you don't know your facts. So the better they can learn their facts as 3rd graders, the easier their life in the future becomes. For science, we're still using Nancy Larson. It's very structured and brings in a lot of the reading skills as well. I'm not going to steal a lot of Mrs. Mars's thunder, but we're going to be coordinating some of our science this year with what they're also doing in English language arts. And so be watching for some things to show up that are both reading and science related. The biggest thing with science is students will have tests that they need to study for. That's something new for 3rd grade, and they really don't know what studying means. We talk a lot in class about strategies they can use, but they will need your help. Study guides usually are sent home multiple days before the test, sometimes up to a week in advance. And I really work with the kids on the fact that you're better off studying 10 minutes, 5 days in a row, than you are trying to study for an hour the night before the test. And so building good study habits when students are really, really young and first learning how to study really is beneficial to them over the course of their schooling. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Mars, and she's going to tell you a little more about English language arts, social studies, and reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Chosick. This year, we at St. Catherine have adopted a new language arts curriculum. It's called Core Knowledge Language Arts. It's comprehensive to include grammar, spelling, vocabulary, reading, and as Mrs. Chosick mentioned, it does have a lot of content that goes across curriculums, and she will be able to tie that into her science as well. So we're super excited to get, not to rush time, but to get to Unit 2, which is animal classification for Mrs. Chosick, and our Unit 2 includes a lot of stories and concepts about animals. So we're excited for that one as teachers. Social studies, again, that will tie in a lot to our CKLA curriculum. I will also include some weekly geography activities that focus on map skills, which they will delve more into in 4th grade. We use a lot of the Scholastic News magazines that are geared toward the 3rd grade level, and the kids really like those. Lots of video activities and things like that. So it really kind of broadens their experience and knowledge of lots of different activities and cultures. Reading, as Mrs. Chosick mentioned earlier, practice, practice, practice. Mrs. Klinsick did say K2, they're learning to read. In 3rd grade, they are now reading to learn. So the more your child can read at home, any book they choose is fine with me, but reading, reading, reading is what they need to do. So if you can work in those 20 minutes each night to help them build their vocabulary and build that knowledge, that really will benefit them as they continue on their educational journey. We have reading counts listed in here. The students, we're not quite sure how reading counts is going to affect them yet this year, or how they're going to be able to participate in that this year. So keep your eyes open for more information to come on reading counts. We're stuck on our slide. Hang on one second. Ah, there we go. Need a little assistance right there. So we all need help at times, whether it's the teacher, whether it's the parent, whether it's the student. So that kind of ties into 3rd grade too. Help students grow in self-control, respect, responsibility, virtue, and compassion. In 3rd grade, Mrs. Chosick and I really focus on all of those aspects to help your child grow. We want to focus on helping them become saints, and part of that process will be using our STARS program and VBRD. So the STARS reward system is something that the kids will learn about more in 3rd grade than I think they probably did in K2. They will work super hard to choose those positive behaviors. And at the end of each month, we will have, as a school, have a STARS reward for those kids who showed those virtues that we work on here at St. Catherine. Also responsibility and respect. So we're trying to guide your children, and our goal is to help get them to heaven one day. So that's something we focus on with STARS and VBRD. VBRD for us, virtue-based restorative discipline. Lots of talk about the virtues and how the kids can make those smart choices and demonstrate those virtues on a daily basis. So we will talk a lot about that here in 3rd grade. So you'll probably hear about that when your kids come home. Positive reinforcement with brag tags, tickets, and bingo. Mrs. Chosick uses brag tags in her classroom to reward kids for smart choices, hard work, lots of extra efforts. We're also using raffle tickets and bingo this year since Mrs. Joseph and I will be moving back and forth between the classrooms, we're trying to keep our positive reinforcement for those smart choices the kids make. So you'll see some of that information listed in the handbook. If you have any questions on that, give us the email or call, but the kids will probably be able to clue you in. Reminder, then consequence or demerit. That is how Mrs. Chosick and I will handle the behaviors in our classrooms. Coming into 3rd grade, we know that this is a big adjustment for them. Once they learn what we expect in the classroom, if they make a choice to not follow the classroom expectations or the school rules or things that are expected of them out on the playground or in the lunchroom, they will receive a reminder. If it happens again, they'll get another reminder. By the time the 3rd one comes around, they're going to receive a consequence, or depending on the action, they'll receive a demerit. At that point, they might need to fill out a reflect and restore activity page, which you will also see an example of that in your handbook. But we use those in an effort to help the child grow and learn the best way for them to treat their classmates. We are a family here at St. Catherine, and it's important for them to learn how to treat their family members in a way that is respectful and helps build those positive relationships. So, let me see what's on our next slide. Okay, so how you can help your child. Help them be ready to learn, and that includes sufficient rest, nourishing breakfast, make sure they eat before they come to school, especially in 3rd grade, because our lunch is at 11:30. So they're going to be pretty hungry by the time they get to 11:30, and we want them to be able to focus on their learning. So please make sure they eat a good breakfast. Appropriate clothing. It does get kind of cold in our classrooms, so if your child gets a little chilly, you might send them with a jacket. And make sure their belongings are marked, especially if they go to EDP. So make sure that all of their items are marked that they bring to school. Our lost and found grows by leaps and bounds every year with items that aren't marked. Have a routine for their belongings and their homework. Have a certain place for their backpack and their folders, and a regular place for them to sit and do their homework. That's important. Lounging on the couch this time with the TV on isn't the most conducive for them to be able to focus on what they need to do to put forth their best effort. Please supervise their internet and streaming use. We need to keep our kids safe, so please make sure that you are supervising those things in an effort to protect their little hearts. Make sure your student attends school. If your child is having any anxiety or any issues about coming to school, please reach out. We have lots of resources here to be able to help. Mrs. Zogelman is a great resource, so if there's something going on at school, please let us know as to why they might not want to come.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
So it's also going to be a hard year. We will have a lot of students. You know, if your student is in a position where they have to be at home for learning, please make sure that they dedicate the time that they can to that. So we do want your child in school, but we do understand as well that this year is going to be a time when we might have some students at home for a few days at a time or even longer, depending on what happens. And so we just want to make sure that, you know, if we are able to get some live lessons going, that your child is still attending in that way as well. So it will be important if we have internet or remote learning at some point, which we are praying that we don't have to go to. But if we do have to get to that point, it will be important for all students to still attend those times as well, so that they can stay on track in third grade.
Thank you, Mrs. Klinsick. Exactly. This year is a little bit different, and we all are going to have to be flexible and do what's best for the kids. So courteous behavior. I am sure you work on that at home, and that's something we want you to know that we work on here at St. Catherine every day, whether it's showing that type of behavior to their classmates, to other students on the playground, or to the adults in the building. So you can help by reinforcing that with your kids for us. Become a student of virtue and live virtuously. In 3rd grade, we talk a lot about virtues. We will go over many of the virtues, and the students will be asked to choose a virtue that they feel that they need to work on themselves. I did this last year with my students, and they really enjoyed that. And I could point out to them, okay, how are you doing with your virtue today? What virtue should you have chosen to follow if you were having a struggle with a classmate? So if you would speak to your kids about virtue at home, that would really help them grow and live that virtuous life that we all need to strive to do. Now, how you can help your child. 7 steps for homework success. As you can see on this screen, set a regular time for homework. I know you are busy. We all have lots of things going on. We have to make that regular time for our kids. It's important, and especially in 3rd grade as they're trying to learn and grow academically, they need a regular time for their homework. Pick a place, avoid distractions, have every tool that you need with you. Involve your family. Homework can be fun. So try to think about that and make it creative if possible. Think it through and get help and try again. Those are all things that you can talk to your kids about and help them learn that growth mindset of I'm not going to give up, because things are going to be hard for some of them this year. Now, classwork versus homework. It says approximately 20 to 30 minutes. If your child is on task throughout the day, they really should not have much homework at all. Coming home from Mrs. Chosick or I, we allow plenty of class time, and those students that are using that time wisely get to come home and read for 20 minutes or do a little bit of math. They don't have a lot of homework. If your child ends up having more than 30 minutes of homework, please reach out to Mrs. Chosick and I, and we can discuss that and see what we could do to assist you. So 20 to 30 minutes, that should be it. Now, we're a team. Father Dan always says that you are the primary educators, and we are here to assist you, but we are a team. Mrs. Chosick and I feel that way, and if the students, parents, and teachers all work together, we all have separate responsibilities, but if we all work together, then that will help ensure a successful year for your child. So just if you would reach out to us if there's any problems or have your student talk to us, we want to make it the best year possible. Considering everything that's going on, we want the kids to have a great year this year, and we look forward to meeting everybody at the virtual open house. I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, parents. If you have any questions, if you have any specific needs for your child, please just make sure that you connect during the open house and send a follow-up email or phone call to Mrs. Chosick or Mrs. Mars. I know that they'll be in touch with you regarding any students who have ILPs or any specific learning needs very soon. And we just can't wait to have your kids in our building.
Thank
We'll see you
you.
soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks.